It's time for Declare Your Independence with Ernest Hancock.
Believe me when I say we have a difficult time ahead of us. But if we are to be prepared for it, we must first shed our fear of it. I stand here without fear because I remember that I am here not because of the path that lies before me, but because of the path that lies behind me. I remember that for 100 years we have fought these machines. And after a century of war, I remember that which matters most. We are still here! Tonight, let us make them remember we are not afraid!
Welcome back to Declare Your Independence with me, Ernest Hancock, here in Phoenix, Arizona. Well, it's very nice overcast, but it's warm. I bet you it's in the 70s. Damn. You know, sucks to be y'all if you're up and colder. But we don't get a white Christmas. You know one thing you can do here in Arizona, man? It's an hour and a half away. You go skiing up in Flagstaff, so on. It's just, a couple hours, boom, you're on the slopes. Yeah, and then you come down and get your tan on. Yep. So, it's very nice here, but, where do I want to find home? I don't know. Where am I going to be left alone? I vote that. One thing I wanted to bring up today, I'll show you this for those in the video. It's Robert A. Heinlein's book, The Moon is a Harsh Mistress. This had a big impact on me because I recognized a lot of people in this book. As we were being activists in the early 90s and so on, there were a lot of people that reminded me of the characters in here. And it was, just to give a summary of the book, you have, like Australia was a penal colony for Europe and the Great Britain, British Empire and so on, the moon becomes a penal colony. But once you go there, you get acclimated to the low gravity, it's almost impossible to come back. So once you served your time, well, then you start, digging your tunnels and having communities, and generations go by, and eventually the moon goes, you know what? We declare our independence. Have a nice day. Well, how they were marketing, with, various commodities that they had. They were even growing wheat, and it's a long story, but they had stuff that they would put in, imagine a round sea container that then they would launch to Earth orbit, and the goodies were retrieved by Earth using mass drivers, rail guns. This was technology that's been around for a long time, kind of that, Nazi Germany, secret weapon stuff. You can send stuff, even at the time, in the Star Wars program in the 80s, they're talking about satellites that go up, and they had these rail guns on it, and it would shoot something like 60 miles a second. I mean, it's just boom. It's almost like a laser. And it's so fast that, you can pretty much target anything. You get the little computer trajectory going, boom, done. Well, it's developed to the point that now they have them on ships. They're already, they're starting to come out that they're experimenting with these. And the Navy, let's go ahead and put this up. Boom, there it is. The Navy's next generation electromagnetic catapult systems hurls its first planes skyward, where normally they would have steam engine. Steam. They'd have compressed steam that would be the launch. That's why you had this kind of, this smoky looking steam thing when they'd launch catapult aircraft. Well, now they're using railguns. And if they use this to launch a jet that weighs, thousands of pounds, and how much are we, able to send a little projectile? Know what I mean? We've been putting this up on Freedom's Phoenix, this technology, following this for years. And I'm going, man, I remember the moon is a harsh mistress. You have a railgun, you can launch stuff into space. In fact, they've been thinking about that, and I think they're going to be doing that for a lot of the unmanned stuff because it has such a G-force. You become a pancake full of jelly, if you send a human up there. But you could do it, longer and a gradual, more of a gradual acceleration. You can adjust it any way that you want. But this technology is here. Now, there was a movie that was starred Vanessa Williams and Arnold Schwarzenegger, and I can't remember, it's called Eraser. The whole thing about that movie was a rail gun that shot aluminum slugs, and it just uber fast, man, boom. And these are, there's arms dealing and the conspiracy of and so on. But the whole premise of that movie was handheld railguns. So this is not new technology. Now think about it. If you can have a high enough capacitor that will store up energy and you pull the trigger and it releases it, well, the projectile doesn't need a casing or a primer or gunpowder. It's smokeless. Start to get the drift. While we're all armed up and getting reloading our guns and all that, that's ancient technology, which means bullets going to be cheap. So this is, do they have to regulate firearms? It's a Bureau of Alcohol, Tobacco, and Firearms. Well, they got redefined a firearm. It doesn't have to fire anymore. Well, it's just a projectile. Because I remember years ago they started, including things like air guns. It's compressed air. They do that. Your paintball guns, BB gun, pellet guns. And you just amp that up. But it takes a lot of pressure. A lot of space and weight and so on. So now we were following something else that you can take a look at. It's called ultracapacitors. See, I watch technology, man, because you just know where this is going, and we benefit a lot too. But the bad guys, man, they got all the resources. An ultracapacitor. Let me explain this. I know all you geeks out there are going to slap me around for not getting this right, but just to give you the concept, I don't want to try and be all scientific, but I'll just give you the basic concept. A capacitor stores energy. And there was a young man that was about 2 years ago. He did a proof of concept. He made a rail gun that he's plinking on beer cans and so on the net. I think it was in the Netherlands or something. And he made it just using some, 9-volt batteries or whatever. And you go, and he's getting, 100 feet per second or something. He's getting 200 feet per second. He's denting him some cans. Well, what it is you have something that can store the electrons, store the energy from a battery or even from direct current, in your AC outlet. Now, you use these every day to start air conditioners. If you went and you flip on the thermostat and your air conditioner or heat pump or whatever starts turning, to turn that compressor to get that motor to start going, it's an enormous amount of energy. I mean, you'll be burning up wires. So they have a thing called a capacitor that it's like a lightning bolt, just boom, gives it a lot of energy to get it turning. Well, you have these, they're called coils in your engine. You have an older engine, I don't know what they use now, electronic ignition is all different, but when you have the coil, you had a distributor cap and you had a coil. And what it did is it sent a spark. A lot of times it was 20,000 volts to your spark plug. That's what made that spark, ignited the fuel-air mixture, you get your internal combustion engine going. Well, if you can store that energy up and then release it, you get a lot of energy released. The problem always, could you control the release of the energy? Well, the way these worked, they were more like lightning bolts. They just boom, all of it would go, store up, boom, all of it would go, store up, all of it would go. Well, the holy grail of capacitors was to be able to store up the energy and then control its dissemination, its bleed, its energy pulse that was going out. You could, store up a bunch of energy. You didn't have to lightning bolt it all out. You could run something. Okay. One of the great things about them is they were immediately chargeable. Now think about this. You have a laptop battery, and it's got an ultracapacitor in it, which it stores up the energy. You plug it into the wall, boom, takes all electrons charged. 1, 2, 3, it's charged, lasts you a month. Oh, don't think so? It's exactly what they're working on. I was doing some research back then. I'm going, why haven't they done this before? Because in the late 80s, there was a guy had a company called Lewis Electric. He was one of the other companies that I was working with my father's company, kind of finding out all trade stuff and all the corruption in the Commerce Department, and he had adjustable capacitors. His father had patents on 3-phase electricity. He's one of the guys that did this. So they had this technology. I understood back in the 80s that this was the holy man. If you could control a capacitor and fill it up with energy and then have it, you just plug it in for a few seconds and go, what was holding it back? Why aren't we able to do this? I want to explain what the hurdle was and how we've overcome it. Here it comes. You guys stay right there. The future's bright. It's got lightning bolts. Everybody's hip pocket. We'll be right back.